This particular video is going to look at what questionnaires and interviews are. We'll have a look at one or two strengths or limitations, but we'll go through most of those in the class next lesson. So both of these are non-experimental techniques, and by that I mean there's no independent variable, there's no dependent variable. They are both self-report methods. So what we're relying on is the feelings and thoughts of the participants being given to the researcher. So a lot of you will have filled out questionnaires in the past for something or other. And what they are basically is a set of questions designed to collect information from a large number of people. They allow us to collect an awful lot of data very, very quickly and easily, and also it allows us to access people's thoughts and feelings. So they are a very, very useful tool within psychology. We've got a lot of different types of questions that can happen during a questionnaire. So we've got open questions where the participants can give any response they want, and they can elaborate on those answers as well. So that gives us qualitative data or non-numerical data. We've also got closed questions. So closed questions are where they get a set number of choices to pick from, maybe yes, no. And that provides us with quantitative data. We count up the yeses, count up the no's. We've also got something called semantic differentials. And these are where you get a little line, might be from I agree to don't agree, and you've got to put a little cross somewhere on that line. And what that can give us is some quantitative data. We've also got something called Likert scales, and Likert scales are where you've got different words to pick from. So it might be strongly agree, agree, don't care, disagree, strongly disagree. So you've got a range of words to pick from, and you pick your choice from those. And although that provides us with qualitative data, because it's providing us with how many agrees, don't agrees, strongly agrees, that can quite easily be turned into numerical data. So that's one of the advantages of a Likert scale. Although the data is initially qualitative, it can be changed into quantitative data in order to be analysed quickly. We are going to look through the issues of questionnaires next lesson, but one of the main issues is the idea of leading questions. And some of you that have done memory will already have a little look at this. And this is where the author's attitude is clear from the way the question is worded. So if I was going to ask you a questionnaire about boxing, the leading question might be, boxing is a barbaric sport and any sane person would want it banned. Do you agree? So I'm leading you into the idea. I've already put into your mind that it's a barbaric sport and that sane people want it banned. So that would be an idea of a leading question. There's certain things you've got to be aware of when you're designing a questionnaire, and they are the clarity of the question. You can't use double negatives, so you couldn't ask, are you against banning capital punishment? It confuses the person straight away. The question isn't very clear. Having the word against and then banning, you can't use that double negative. Participants will get confused, therefore the questions won't be valid. Also, it's important to use filler questions. So these are slightly irrelevant questions that are used to distract the respondent from the actual issue. If someone works out what the questionnaire is about, then they might start to give answers they expect that you want. So sometimes we use filler questions in order to distract the participants from knowing what the actual aim of the questionnaire is. And also, it's always important to do pilot studies. If you're doing a questionnaire, do a small-scale pilot study using that questionnaire, so once you get the results, once you get some feedback from people, you're able to refine that questionnaire and make it better. All of you will have done an interview at some point, whether it was to get into the sixth form, job interviews, whatever. But there's three different types. We've got structured interviews, unstructured, and also semi-structured interviews, which are also called clinical interviews. But we're going to have a look at what the difference between these three. So a structured interview is where there is a predetermined fixed set list of questions that the researcher will read through. So the interviewer will sit down and read through each of the set of questions, and you will give a response to those questions. An unstructured interview, on the other hand, is more like a conversation. There's no questions, it's just generally a discussion. And the interviewer, if they want to know more information about something, they can ask you for more details. The person being interviewed can also elaborate when they feel they need to as well. Whereas semi-structured interviews is a mixture of both of them. So it might be like a job interview. The person interviewing you will have a set of questions that they'll try and get through, but at any point they want, they can ask you to elaborate, or you can elaborate. You can go off topic a little bit and maybe get into some new information that they find interesting. So we've got structured, unstructured, and semi-structured interviews. So it's also important you understand the key things to consider when designing an interview. And one of the first things to have standardized questions, and this will reduce interviewer bias. So by standardized questions, I mean the person doing the interview will have a set list of questions. They'll all have the same ones if they're using them. So if it's a semi-structured or if it's a structured interview, then they should all have the set questions that are all the same in order to follow. This means that the interviewer can't just lead someone down a path to get the answers that they particularly want. They can't use leading questions, for example. It's also important to record the interview, and this is to make sure that it can be analysed later. It can be analysed by other researchers to make sure the information copied down by the interviewer is correct. It's also important to do any interviews in a quiet room away from other people, and the main reason for this is people are far more likely to open up if they're in a quiet environment with one other person. If it's a crowded room with lots of others, people are less likely to give their true opinions and true beliefs. And also, you must remind the participants, like in any interview or any experiment, that their answers will be kept confidential. That's a key ethical issue that's got to be considered when conducting any interview.